Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the DevOps series section related to source control and GitHub repositories, etc. So if you have not watched the previous videos with this series, you can take the link from the description box and the entire series link is there, as well as the previous video link is in description box, so you can take it from there and watch the entire series, and do subscribe and like this channel. Okay, so let's start on this. And as we are aware, the DevOps technology is an emerging technology or a emerging software development method. We can say a strategy that is used and that involves a rapid transformation, or you can say a quickly changing of various versions or release of your software applications. So in that scenario, you have to maintain your security regarding your codes, and you have to control your source code versions, how the software deployment flow will go, how the codes and plan deployment will work in the base of release. So this is the you can see that there's a complete loop that's basically release, deploy, and operate, build, test, code, plan. So all these components are in a single cycle or in a loop. So those are working in a cyclic form. So if we talk about the source control, so basically it's a practice of tracking and managing changes in your codes that are going to be released. And the source control management is a system that basically provides a running history of your code deployment and resolve the conflicts, merging of contributions, etc. So how it works, let's just move to next. Okay, so when we talk about the source control, so basically it's tracking of your and managing of your code and their changes, and that source control is based on your source control management that used to resolve your conflicts, merging of your codes. Like if you're working in a team, the application which is developing application, the team was developing an application, and once you collect all the codes and a module to build a single application, so how it's managed, how the existing application data can be overwritten and produce a new code that use for this for the deployment. So for this, we have to use the source control management system. For that, that includes basically usability, the benefit if you are using this is source control. So it's an efficiency, collaboration, learning. Like you will get uh, mm, uh, collaboration from all the team members. Like you can, if someone make the mistake, then another person can take it out. Okay, this is the issue because you are working in a collaboration. Another person can help you out in this. You have an manageability. You can define the workflows. You can define your audits to identify what exactly is going on and which who perform the what kind of activity, kind of things we can do it. So these are the benefits. You can create a workflows, you can work with versions, you can collaborate, you can make history of your changes, maintain, you can maintain it, how the software codes are change and develop. Why I'm just describing this in the DevOps? Yes, it's a part of DevOps, as well as once we go and configure it in the our lab section also. As I shown you in the starting, we are creating a work item and all. So we can define the workflows and work structure code versions. So I will show you how we can integrate this in the DevOps and the Azure solution. So with the help of, like, if you are creating a workflow, that means you are preventing persons to isolate or deviate from the current solution. You have defining a workflow. Okay, you have to do this activity, you have to perform this certain activity. You cannot go beyond that. This structure, you can define the works versions. You can the persons can collaborate with each other, the kind of things. I will show you how we can define it in a solution, or how to we can use this in a DevOps solutions. When we are talking about the approach or a model in the DevOps, like type of, if you can say, a source control system or SCS. So the source control system is basically in two types. One is the centralized version control, Another one is distributed version control. So the centralized version control, it's if we talk about base difference, so that's the base difference is that it's hosting a single central copy of the project, and that that used by all the members who are working on the project, and accordingly the changes will be commit on that, and the product will be used over there. So that can be a solution if we talk about TFVC, like Team Foundation Server. It's from the Microsoft, now it's become as Azure DevOps Server. Earlier it was the Team Foundation Server. So used for this type of collaboration, that we can use it uh, for this kind of solution. And the second one is distributed version control. So in the case of distributed version control, it's basically distributing it to a uh, local copy. So the developers can clone their copies from the repository. Like if the centralized server is there, from there you can download and store it at your machine, the copy, and then you can use that copy for your changes or your developments. So you can update the codes, and then at a center place the codes can be merged, can be used, or you can also release your independent version on the basis of that decentralized or the distributed version control. So the developers can have their own copy and they can publish it also in the Git, etc. So I will let you know what exactly the Git in the next slide. Next couple of slides might be. Okay. So we can use any of the control model. Could be a model. It could be your centralized version control, or could be distributed version control. It would be totally depends on your business requirement and how the model type you are going to proceed further. TFVC is nothing else. It's just like in Team Foundation version control, and now it's changed it to your Azure DevOps server. If you talk on this, okay. So here you can see the Git versus TFVC. TFVC is something which is the Team Foundation version control, as I discussed. So it's a centralized source control system provided by Microsoft, and you can deploy it a server at your on premises. People can take a copy of local workspace if they are working. It's basically divided in two models. The one is server workspace model, and another one is the local workspace model. So in TFVC, it's the centralized structure model. You will use the server space model where all the changes and everything will be on centralized server database and published from there itself only. If we talk about local space model, so each member take a copy of their local system and they can work offline with the code base and then upload it or merge the code with the system. So it's nothing else. It's just still for your limited environment, or it's not would not be published on a public network mostly. The Team Foundation, it's available for the limited level of organization. They use this server for the internal deployment purpose only. And the second one is the Git. So Git is basically it was a solution developed by Linux kernel around in 2005 or somewhere. So in the Git, it's basically a repository where you can store a copy and the people can download from there, or developers can download the codes from there, and they can further use those code uh, to develop their applications. So let's move it next slide. Why we use the Git? Because we have an centralized space as TFVC or a centralized source control that can be used for the deployment. But what are the additional benefits over Git? So first, if we talk about the community, so if we talk about we have a large project teams, like number of people are available, they develop their codes, put their codes copy, and might be they give a better solution what you are thinking. You can enhance the solution on the basis of their codes and their solution. Same as it's distributed, so the cycle will going on, like release cycle will be going on the product, like you have released that product, people use, get the changes you have done, you are releasing a products as well as the others can also work on that. Even you can merge those products and create a better copy or new copy on the basis of that Git structure. You can also use pull request. So like you can take the codes, etc. from the GitHub or the specific section you want to pull. You can also use that. And it's a complete distributed deployment development repository. And obviously it's more faster as compared to your normal deployment because it would be a open structure released over there and people use from there. So mostly a lot of people get confused by Git and GitHub. So what exactly the GitHub? Let's move in the next slide. I will let you know after this slide, this one. What is exactly the GitHub? So not much go get confused on this. Git is just nothing else. It's a solution that was earlier used in the Linux for the repository to store the files. Now, what exactly the GitHub is, I will let you know. Before that, you can see in Azure repository, if you talk about or Azure Repo, what we have a Git as well as Team Foundation control. So now it's become as Azure DevOps server. The HDFS is renamed with the name of uh, Azure DevOps server. So what exactly these are the two control systems that are supported in your Azure repo, and we will use this Azure repo in the DevOps section for our lab work. And I will show you how you can define this repository or how you can control the codes or versions of your solution and how you will manage release. So let's move one more slide. Okay. So what exactly the GitHub is? GitHub is nothing else. It's just an Microsoft own repository where all the various Git codes or the codes are stored. So earlier, as I said, the Git was there in the Linux. It was an open source. Now I think it's an IBM is handling this GitHub also for this because for Linux are purchased by IBM and all. So, but now the GitHub is basically owned by a Microsoft solution. So it's an open source community. You can go download your codes, you can put your codes, you can upload your solutions. A lot of things you can do. I will show you how we can run this with this and how we can use in the Visual Studio Code also, how we can use in Visual Studio solution these GitHubs structure. We have an authentication available for GitHub repositories also. You can use MFA or two-factor authentications with your GitHub repositories. You can also use your ID-based tokens, and SSH is also available if you want to use your Linux shell and etc. and you want to use SSH-based authentication structure, you can use that. And if you have a Microsoft Team Foundation version control solution, you already have in place and you wanted to migrate it, you can also migrate that. The Microsoft Azure gives you this functionality. You can import that repository. You can migrate your existing solution to Linux GitHub. That for that you have to install authentication for this Git Credential Manager. You can install it. This is what exactly it's a Git Credential Manager. Basically that used to install and configure. Once you install and configure it, you can use and migrate your solution to Azure GitHub. So let's continue on this, and I will show you how we can configure our Azure repository and how we can configure version control, how we can use the version control in your lab session. So I will be back in the next video. You can keep watching, and the next video link is already in the description box, so you can take it from there. Entire series is there. List is also there in the description box, so you can take the link of this entire DevOps series. Uh, this channel you will get all the Azure technology related videos, not limited to Azure, could be other solutions also like Office 365, PowerShell, and other stuff. So keep watching and do subscribe it. And I will be back in the next video with the implementation of this uh, version control. So thank you so much. Keep watching it.